I think we are currently witnessing a shift in art culture. That is, if you think we can call something like this art, but we'll get back to that. For at least the past 20 years, pictures like that have characterized internet meme culture. As far as I could tell, there's not a name for this type of image. So I was trying to think of something. I was thinking something like the quick Photoshop, internet folk. That seems a little too broad. Hasty Photoshop. But I think for the most part, I'm going to refer to this as meme folk. I am not an art historian, by the way, so if you have any better names. Meme folk is kind of just the easiest one to say. They're not necessarily always memes, but they are heavily involved in meme culture. I'm hesitant to call them bad or sloppy Photoshop, even though you could definitely argue that they are those things, because the quality is often exactly what constitutes them. I think we've really taken these for granted. And now, with the advent of generative AI, I think we'll start to see a decline in this type of image. I think we will. What exactly is the quick Photoshop or meme folk? I was thinking a while back about how images like this may slowly start to disappear because of AI. And then a couple weeks ago, I saw this post and it kind of made me realize, yeah, I think this is something that other people are also noticing, and it's definitely probably happening. I've been using the term Photoshop here, even though the program itself is rarely used these days for stuff like this, because now there's so many meme making apps and other similar tools for making casual images. But the term Photoshop has become synonymous with picture editing. Like, you'll see people say, "This looks shopped," when they think a picture has been altered. Actually, now that I think about it, that phrase itself is something we might lose, because now people just say, "This looks like AI." But that's a video for etymology nerd. I don't think you can describe the hasty Photoshop or meme folk solely on some lower end quality that it might have, because they have it in varying degrees, and some barely have it at all. For example, in this Wario train we have here, this looks pretty clean and well done, but it definitely still falls into this category. If you wanted to make an image of a train with Wario's face that was a little more seamless, you could put a little more work into it. And then obviously, like, the tracks are just sort of floating here, you could fix little things like that. So we're still looking at meme folk, I'd say. Recognizability is important when it comes to labeling something as a certain style. Throwing Wario's head on there quickly, even if cleanly, is a means to an end. The end usually being memes and other casual internet stuff. Some get more attention than others. Like with a lot of art-related stuff, defining something as ambiguous as style can get a little fuzzy. Art styles tend to be defined by a few different qualities, like visual traits, the technique being used, intent, and cultural context. So let's run meme folk through each of these. First, as far as visual traits go, we're looking at stuff like obvious cutouts, sometimes with rough edges, mismatched lighting, overcompressed or low resolution source images, and in general, awkward visible artifacts. Number two, technique, which again these days hardly involves actual Photoshop. But the further back you go, like especially mid-2000s, the more Photoshop use you get, especially with its basic tools like lasso to cut things out. 3. Intent. The why. For memes most of the time, so humor, casual fun, convenience over polish. 4. Cultural context. This one I think is especially important for meme folk because it occupies a pretty unique space in culture and history. There have been other types of images in a similar vein, in the form of folk art maybe, or like newspaper comics or graffiti, but the internet is a unique space, and all that stuff already kind of exists outside of this ecosystem, and in their own worlds. Meme folk images are made specifically for and by this online domain. They exist in a very fast-moving online discourse. If I had to give one concise definition for meme folk, I think it'd be something like this. A type of image based in internet culture, defined by minimal editing and visible imperfections, with a focus on expression over polish. I won't blame anyone for thinking I'm taking pictures that look like this too seriously. I suspect for a lot of people, whether or not any of this is even worth talking about depends on whether or not this stuff is considered art. The what is art question will probably be debated until there's no one around to make it anymore. But it's not surprising that people disagree on whether the stuff on the fringes is or isn't real art. Like, almost anyone would agree that this is art. But this? When you start to get into the more unorthodox stuff, people get divided. Famously, in 1917, Marcel Duchamp submitted a urinal to an art expedition. Just a urinal. Didn't modify it in any way, just took it and submitted it and named it Fountain. This is one of, if not the most famous is it art discussions. Some people will say, yes, it's art because of the intent and the act itself. That's art. The idea is more important than technical skill. It's meant to elicit a response, to get a rise out of you.
What the heck? This is literally just a toilet. This is not art.
Okay, dude. What the flip?
That's the point. His selection would be the creative act, not production. In the other camp, people say, no, it's not art, because art shouldn't depend on context alone. If this is art, then just say everything's art. Fountain is often viewed as overly provocative and cynical, rather than expressive, and that it sets a bad precedent. Trolling, if you will. Rage baiting, if you will. It's in an interesting spot because another big factor to whether something is art depends on the collective meaning we ascribe to it. If we all agree that it's art, then it's art. And in these gray areas, a lot of people disagree. Fast forward to modern internet culture and we've got a similar situation. You could say that meme folk isn't meant to be anything more than a joke. It's disposable, it's low effort. They weren't created with any deeper intent. Definitely not with the same intent as someone who spends hours upon hours making a beautiful painting. Others may argue, and by others I mean me, I'm just gonna give you my opinion now, because yeah, I think it's art. These images are created to express a feeling or an idea, or sometimes just for aesthetic value. You might never describe one of them as beautiful, but I do think they have aesthetic value. I think the shopped look itself is really important and adds a lot. Here's a couple that I made a while back. This one is Morgoth from Elden Ring on top of an Olive Garden instead of his castle. I uploaded this to the Google page for my local Olive Garden and it stayed up for about an hour before they caught it and took it down. These can be, by traditional standards, unattractive, and that really helps the human touch shine through, which only makes it worse that we're likely to lose this style in favor of AI, while more conventional types of art will probably continue to be made by people. AI can pretty easily make any style of art, but it really struggles when creating something like this, at least in my trials. I'm sure you could get closer than what I've been able to do here with enough reference images and the perfect prompt. But unless more people decide to keep going out of their way to make these when they could just type in a prompt, we're definitely going to lose them to some degree. The kind of expression you see in meme folk has always existed in art. I even gave them a name after folk art. Other stuff like collage comes pretty close. You could even compare them to political cartoons, given how they're used. These are just a product of a new time and culture that they exist in, both of which are changing. While looking for pictures to use in this video, I was hoping to find some Photoshop images and then be able to find some AI versions of those images to compare. I started just searching different popular stuff and then adding like funny Photoshop after. The first thing I tried was Halo, and wouldn't you know it, almost immediately I found a Photoshop version and an AI version of the same idea. Master Chef here is exactly what I'm talking about. The shopped version is pretty clean, but we've got all the hallmarks of meme folk. Chef's hat is cut out and just kind of vaguely on his head. Wasn't really made to look like it's actually on there. Down here we've got what looks like some free clip art of a spatula thrown in there. Can't see him holding it. That may be intentional to improve the believability. This version probably took, I don't know, at least 10 minutes to find all the images, the spatula, the chef hat, put it all into whatever program, and then make the picture. The AI version has some more stuff going on. This one's actually a still image I found from an AI video where Master Chief cuts this grunt's head off while it's still alive, so that's pretty neat. So he's in a ship or something, got an apron, there's another chef in the background. He's holding the utensils. The work that went into this, the prompt, probably took a minute. Definitely way less effort, not counting the time it took to generate. I don't think meme folk will ever completely disappear. Like I said before, as of right now, AI can't quite create something in that style. In the future, maybe it will reach a point where it can replicate it authentically with all its imperfections. I wouldn't be surprised. It's no wonder people would prefer to use AI to make something like this that's so casual and disposable in nature. Say what you will about AI art, but for most people, it's just easier this way, and humans love the path of least resistance. It also opens a door for people who've never really learned how to or have the ability to shop images or make art. I know that's one of the arguments that AI artists use to defend it. Whether or not an AI image is art, that's a different conversation. The need for these quick, disposable images isn't going away anytime soon. But the question is, how much of it gets handed off to AI? I hope it's not all of it, and I don't really think it will be. I think, at least for now, the two styles are different enough that there will probably always be a small subset of people who actually enjoy making these manually, even if AI eventually gets good enough to recreate them. But the culture around meme folk has always been pretty focused on their utility. It's not always about making something just for its own sake, but visualizing or expressing something conveniently. People do make these just for fun, of course, all the time, I'm sure. I mean, I'm not sure what else this could have been made for if not for its own sake, but will that be enough to keep the style alive? I don't know, especially as AI becomes more and more commonplace. You hear the term internet culture get thrown around a lot. I've used it here. But at this point, it's just culture. I think internet culture is a term for the 90s and early 2000s, a time when surfing the web was a hobby and not just this passive thing that we all constantly do throughout our day. That's become increasingly difficult to just get up and walk away from. The internet is just part of everyday life now, so I don't think it would hurt to give these a little more credit. Just a little. Just a little. We can at least recognize them for the time and culture they represent, one that we're still in, at least for now. I'm not saying you have to call these fine art, but it's definitely art. I dare you to go get one of these printed, frame it, hang it up in your home, and then send it to me on Instagram. Better yet, go make some of these.